All right, welcome to my presentation today. I need to be completely honest with everybody. I've never made a screencast. This is my very first one, so bear with me as I try this out for the first time. Today, we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of Google Drive. Um, Google Drive is one of my very favorite time-saving platforms. It increases my efficiency, and most of all, especially at this time, it allows us to collaborate virtually without being in the same room. So the objectives that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you an introduction to Google Apps. I'm going to teach you how to access your Google Drive account, and if you have trouble accessing it, I'm going to show you how you can get help with that. I'm going to teach you how to do document sharing. I'm also going to walk you through how to find a shared file. We're going to practice linking files in documents or emails, and then I have a section at the very end to give all viewers time to play with documents that I've created, and don't worry about ruining them. It's really just an area for you to play and get familiar with all different types of Google documents. Let's first start talking about all of the benefits of Google Drive. For me, first and foremost, one of the biggest benefits is that all of the storage is cloud-based. So everything that I have ever created is housed on Google Drive. It's not housed on my hard drive. So if my computer ever crashes, it's not the end of the world. All I need to do is go get a new computer, log into my Google account, and then everything that I own is all right there. There's also no limit to the amount of storage or sharing size. So if you've ever tried to send an email with a couple of photos or maybe a video, and you get the pop-up response that it's too large to send, if you house whatever it is you're trying to share in Google Drive and then you send a link, then that alleviates the problem of, oh no, this file was too large to send. Another big benefit for me is the mobility. So I am logged into my Google account on my laptop, on my phone, on my iPad, and I'm out and about at sites throughout the day. And sometimes I don't want to have my laptop with me, but I'll need to be able to access certain files. I can do that right on my phone. I can do that right on my iPad. So it's nice to have all of my documents housed in one place, but I can access them through many different devices. Also, when talking about collaboration, multiple users can access the files. So with all the many teams that I work with, I have different folders for each team, and within that folder is where I house all of the materials that they might need, which eliminates the, oh no, I lost it, can you send me a new one type of issue, because everything that each one of my teams needs is housed in a particular folder that anybody from the team can access. So it eliminates me having to keep pushing out information, but it also allows my team members the ability to access what they need when they need it. Another benefit is all of the documents are live. So as I edit each document, anyone that I've shared the document with automatically has the most latest version. So of course this eliminates the issue of, I don't know if this is the latest version, can you send me what we just created yesterday type of mentality. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Google Apps. I think it's important to really have an understanding for the language and to be able to relate it to maybe some programs that are more familiar to all of you. So Google Drive, which is what we're talking about today, Google Drive is really just like the file cabinet. It's where everything is housed. And just like a file cabinet with multiple different folders and maybe even subfolders, that's exactly what Google Drive is, except it's digital. When we're talking about Google Docs, you can think of Google Docs as the equivalent to Microsoft Word. So this is where you're going to do all of your word processing. When we're talking about Google Sheets, this is the equivalent of Microsoft Excel. So these are your spreadsheets, and it works very similarly to Microsoft Excel. When we're talking about Google Slides, this is the equivalent to Microsoft PowerPoint. So for instance, the presentation that I'm using today, I've created in Google Slides. Google Forms is the equivalent of SurveyMonkey. So when you need to gather feedback from any group and you want to send out a survey, you can do this in Google Forms. And I'll show you how to utilize all of these documents further along in the presentation. Okay, but let's start at the very beginning and learn how to access Google Drive. So if you go to www.google.com and you're on the Google homepage, you'll see this, this grid right up here. If you click the grid and open it, here's where you'll find all of the different apps that you can access. If you click Google Drive, that'll take you right to your Google Drive homepage. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So it looks just like this, and this is where you're going to log in using your EUSD email account. Everybody has a Google account via their EUSD email account. Some of you might not know your password, and if you don't know your password, it's okay. All you'll need to do is submit an e-ticket, and I'll walk you through how to do that. So if you do know your password, you would type in your email address here, and then you would go to next, and that's where it would ask you for your password. If you don't know your password, we need to get you that before you go through these steps. So let's go to the EUSD homepage. Okay, so when you're on the EUSD homepage, close out any pop-ups that might appear. You're going to go to Staff Resources, and you're going to scroll down to the Web Help Desk. Let's click that. The Web Help Desk will open, and this is where you enter your username and your password. Your username is always your first initial, followed by your last name. And then you would enter your password here and log in. Okay, here's where you're going to submit your e-ticket. So your request type is going to be through education technology. And then here it's going to ask you what is your issue to kind of narrow it down. So let's see, we have app issue, app login, change request. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be app login password issue. So let's click that. And then it'll ask you what type, Google Drive. And then up here, I would just say Google Drive password needed. And then in here, you can be a little more specific, although the subject really says exactly what it is that you need. And then you would go ahead and click save. I'm not going to do that because I don't need my password reset. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out and return to the presentation. Okay. So let's assume that you're able to log in. So once you log in, it'll take you to your Google Drive homepage. So this is like the beginning of your file cabinet. And this is where you can start creating any type of document that you need. So let me go ahead and open up my Google homepage, my Google Drive homepage, so that I can walk you through what that looks like. So this is basically my file cabinet has just opened and I want to create a new document. So I would go over here to new, and it's going to give me all these choices. So if I want to create a Google Doc, I would go here. If I wanted to create a Google Sheet, I would go here. Google Slides, remember that's like PowerPoint, I would go here. And there's also more. Many people don't know this, so I'm just going to show you. So if you wanted to create Google Forms, you would go here and you would create your new form. But for purposes of what I want to show you today, let's go ahead and create a blank Google Doc. So a blank document will open. And this is where you can begin typing. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Let me go back just a moment. There we go. And the beautiful part about this is, my spacing is a little off. Sorry about that. The beautiful part about this is right up here, you can see it's saving. Every change I make is automatically saved. So, for instance, if I were to close it out right now, it would automatically be saved. But I want to be able to find it right away, so I want to name it. It automatically will name with the first couple of words that you typed, but I don't like that title, so I might just call it, I can't type today, Sample for Today. And then there it is. It's automatically saved in my drive, and I can find it again. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Again, I don't need to save it. It'll automatically be saved. So I'm just going to close it out. All right. And let me go back to the presentation. Great. So we just talked about how to create a new document. So you go to New, and then you select what type of document you want to create. Okay. So speaking of Google Documents, there's two types I'm going to talk about today. There's documents for editing purposes, and then there's documents for viewing purposes, and I'm going to walk you through both. Let's first talk about documents for editing purposes. So this is a document for collaboration purposes. So all people I share with will have editing capabilities. So that means everybody that I share with this document with will be able to type in this document. This is a great platform for conference signups for parents. That way every parent can type in, you can make a schedule and they can type in the time slot that works for them. It's great for your grade level teams if you're working on a joint project. Perhaps it's a rubric. If you and your grade level team share students, perhaps they rotate through each teacher for different subjects. It would be great for tracking shared information. It's also fun to use with students for combined story writing as well. So let me show you how to make this document, how to give everybody editing capabilities. Okay. So there's a couple of different ways. So I'm going to go up here to my share button. Okay, and I can share it with, if there's one or two specific people, I might share it with them this way. So for example, I'm just going to use me actually. I'm going to type in my EUSD email address. I come up right there, so I'm sharing it with Leslie Wright. And if you see this pencil over here, that means I'm sharing it for this person to be able to edit. If I wanted to type in another person, I would just type in another person here. And I'm going to go ahead and back out of this just because it's a sample. Let's say I want to share it with all parents in my classroom, and it's every mom and it's every dad, and I've got 24 students. That could be up to 48 names. I'm not going to go in and type everybody's name here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a link to share this document. So up here, it says anyone at Encinitas Union School District with the link can view. Well, that's not going to do me any good because none of the parents in my class have an EUSD email address. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to get more choices because all of these choices are just people with an EUSD email address. So I'm going to click more, and I'm going to go up here to anyone with the link. That That means anyone who I share the link with can have access and they don't need to sign in. And for purposes of conference signups, this will work perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and click this circle right here, this choice. Now I'm going to scroll down here, and this says anyone with the link can view, but I want them to be able to do more than view. I want them to be able to edit. So I'm going to change this to edit, and I'm going to press save. Now anyone with the link can edit, which is perfect for all the parents in my class to be able to sign up for a conference time. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the link and see how it's highlighted here. Now I have the link and I can paste that link into an email to my families. So I'm going to press done. Okay, I'm going to close this out and we'll return to the presentation. So that is how I share a document, a Google Doc, for editing purposes. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to share a document for view-only purposes. So let me go ahead and open this sample document here. Okay, so I might use this if I want to share a document, but I've already tied it with a pretty little bow and I don't want anybody to be able to edit it. It's done, it's finalized. You might use this for a finalized lesson plan. So the way that you do this is exactly the same. You go over here to share. And again, the default is anyone at Encinitas Union School District can view. That will always be your default. Again, if you're sharing it with one person, you would type their name in here. But over here is the little pencil. Remember, that gives this person editing capabilities, but I don't want them to be able to edit in this circumstance. I only want them to be able to view it. So I'm going to need to change that to can view. When you get this little eyeball here, that means that you're giving them access to view only, not to edit. I'm going to go ahead and just, so if you really wanted to send it, you would send it, but for purposes of the sample, I'm going to close it out. So let's say you want to send it to, again, all the parents in your class. You want them to be able to see it, but not edit it. You would click this little drop down. Again, only EUSD options are here, so we need more options. You're going to click anyone with the link. That means anyone with the link can access and they don't need to sign in. So that makes it super easy and user-friendly. And then if you come down here to the permissions, this is giving them view-only permissions, which is exactly what you want. Again, if you were to change this to edit, they would have editing purposes, which for this type of document, you might not want them to be able to edit. And then you would click save. Here's your link. You would copy the link and you can pop that right into your email. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Okay. So moving along, let's talk about retrieving a shared file. So I share documents with a lot of people all of the time. And I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a school site and had somebody say, oh, Leslie, hey, you sent me a file last year maybe, and I had a question about it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And then they go into their email to find the email notification. It looks like this of the document that I shared with them. So I want to teach you how you don't have to save emails forever, because once anyone shares something with you via Google Drive, you have access directly in your Google Drive. You don't have to save the email notification that was sent to you letting you know that they've shared a file with you. So let me show you how to do this. We're going to go to my Google Drive homepage. And I want to bring your attention over to this side. So far in this presentation, I've only been working in my drive. That's my file cabinet. Over here is shared with me. That's kind of like the landing pad or the mailbox, you could say, for anything that's shared with you. So let me go ahead and click that. Okay, so these are all of the items that have been shared with me ever. I've sorted it by by date. So everything that was shared with me this week is right here, and this month is right here, and so on and so forth. If it's something that I just want to view one time only, I'll leave it in the shared with me file. It's kind of like your mailbox. If it's something that I feel I want to access all the time, I'm going to put it in my drive because I want it in my file cabinet, not in my mailbox. So for instance, let's go ahead and say that this file is something that I want to be able to access. I can right click it and I'm going to select add to my drive. And then it's going to give me the option to organize it, which is really nice because it's basically saying, great, I'll add it to your file cabinet. Which file do you want it to be placed in? So I'm going to go ahead and click organize. And let's just go ahead and say that I want it in my admin services file. I would click that and I would click move here, and that's where I would house this document. Since this is just a sample, I'm not going to click this and I'm just going to close this out. So this is where you would find everything that's ever been shared with you, and you have the option of A, leaving it in this folder if it's a view one time only type of thing, or B, adding it to your digital file cabinet, which is your drive for purposes of being able to find it later. Okay, I want to spend some time talking about how to link files into a document or an email, just to give it a nice cleaner look, and it definitely, I feel, makes it a little bit more user-friendly for the viewer. So I have two different samples here. This says click here to view the enrichment showcase flyer, and you can see when I hover my mouse over here, it's hyperlinked, which means I could click it and it would take me to the flyer. Otherwise, I certainly could have written, click the link below to view the enrichment showcase flyer. And again, if I hover over this, you can see that this is a live link as well. Bottom line, both versions will take you to this flyer. I think you can clearly see that the very first example is a much cleaner look. And again, I feel that it's more user-friendly. So let me show you how to do this. So I have a linking sample here. Okay, so here is our linking sample. So for instance, here is my flyer that I want to put into this sample email. Let me go ahead and open it. Okay, so here's my flyer, and I want everybody to be able to access it. I'm going to send it out to the entire school district. So I don't want to make this difficult for anybody to view. So I want to be able to send a link that gives each user view-only permissions. I can do this two ways, and I'm going to show you both ways. I can click these three little dots here, and I'm going to click share, and the same pop-up window comes up that we worked in before. And if you look right here, I've already changed the permissions to anyone with the link can view, which is perfect. So I would copy the link, and then I can take that link back to my email and hyperlink it into my text, which I'll show you in just a moment. I also want to show you that you can do it straight from this screen too. You don't even have to open your file. So you can highlight your document, right click, and you're going to go down to get a shareable link. And this comes up. Link sharing is on. Anyone with the link can view. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off just for the purpose of being able to show you how to do it. Okay, so again, I'm going to right click. I'm going to get shareable link. Link sharing is off now. I'm going to turn it on. And by default, it says anyone in this union can view. But I don't want that. I'm going to go into my sharing settings. I'm going to do the drop down again. I'm going to click more. I want more choices. And I'm going to click anyone with the link. And again, down here, it's can view, which is perfect. I don't want them editing my flyer. And I'm going to click save. Here's my link. I'm going to copy that link, and now I can bring that right back to my email or document. So let me show you how to do that as well. So let me just open up a sample that I have, and not that. Okay, and not that either. Okay, great. So let me go ahead, and this is how you link a file. Click here to view. Okay, always nice if I spell something right. Okay, so just like I have here and here, I'm going to hyperlink it. And you can tell that it's a live link because when I hover over it, it looks like this. When I hover over this, nothing happens, right? So let's hyperlink it. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to scroll all the way down to hyperlink. I'm hyperlinking a web page. I'm going to paste it right on in, and I'm going to click OK. And now you can see this matches these two up here. And I always like to test everything before I send it out. So I'm going to click it, and let's see where it takes me. Perfect, right to the flyer. Let me close it out. We're going to go back to our presentation. Okay, so a much cleaner look to hyperlink versus pasting in that long URL. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to link in an email. It's virtually the exact same way that we just linked in a Word document. So let me get out of the presentation, and I'm going to open up my email. Here's a sample that I already have. I've highlighted the word here. I always like to capitalize it. I think it draws even more attention to it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to scroll down to hyperlink, and I'm going to pop that address right on in, and look, there it's hyperlinked. And again, we test everything before we send it. Let's see if it works. And there we go. It takes me right to my flyer. Just a nice, cleaner look for the user. Okay, so moving right along. So now we know how to hyperlink. Okay, so I've created a folder with you to play in, to just get a little more familiar with all different types of documents. So I have a Google Doc. Remember, that's the equivalent of Microsoft Word. I have a couple of Google Sheets. That's the equivalent of Microsoft Excel. And I also have a Google Form that you can play in. So what I need you to do is to jot down this address right here. Make sure to capitalize the L, the G, and the D because it is case sensitive. And we're going to go to our Google homepage. Remember, not your Google Drive homepage, your Google homepage. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to open up a new tab. Here's my Google homepage. So it's www.google.com. I have mine defaulted to go straight to Google for my homepage. And you're just going to type it in the address bar up here. So remember, it's case sensitive. So it's bit.ly/learn Google Drive. Case sensitive. The L, the G, and the D are capitalized. Okay. And it'll take you right to this folder that I've created for all of you. And just for sake of learning today, let me show you how I made this folder accessible to all of you for editing purposes. I went to Share. And if you see here, anyone with the link can edit. So that is why all of you right now are able to access it and have editing capabilities. We've talked about a Google Doc. So this is Google Docs. I didn't show you a Google Sheet, but again, it's the equivalent of Microsoft Excel, and I've got a couple here that you can play with. But I do want to spend just a moment before I leave you talking about a Google form. So what I've created here is just a sample, perhaps it's a beginning of the year survey that you want to send to your families. So I have a couple of questions here to get you started. Student's name, what's the most important thing I should know about my child? And if you see here, I have, I'm able to choose what type of answer. This is a short answer text because a student's name is not a paragraph long. This might be a paragraph. So I want to allow my parents to be able to give a long answer. This is just a yes, no, and a maybe type of question. So basically this allows you to choose one, yes, no, or maybe. This allows you to choose all activities that is interesting to your child. This is a scale of 1 to 10 type of question. So I try to give a whole bunch of different answer styles. Let's say I want to add another question. This is my last question, so I'm going to highlight it. And I'm going to click this add question. And then it allows me to add a question right below it. So maybe I want to say, I don't know, how does your child learn best? Okay. So this again is this is going to be multiple choice. If I didn't want it multiple choice, I could choose short answer, check boxes, drop down. But for this, I think multiple choice is fine. So option 1, visual learner. Option 2, auditory learner. Option 3, and you can just keep going with that. I really like that it has the other option because this allows a parent to go ahead and write in something that maybe you didn't have up here as one of the choices. So you can add an other, and this allows a parent to go ahead and type it in. Again, all changes are saved in the drive. So when I'm done, I just simply close it out and it's saved. Once you send this form out, and there's multiple different ways to send it, you would click send over here. My favorite way is to send them a link. Here's the link right here. Once you send it out, you're going to start getting all of the feedback responses. Here's where you would go to access all of the responses. Of course, I haven't sent this out, so I have no responses at this time, but this is where it would start collecting all of my responses. So let me close it out. Again, here's your area to play. Please don't be nervous about quote unquote ruining any of my documents. This is what they're there for. Last but not least, I want to leave you all with my email address. I am always available to answer questions, help guide you, work with you on the ins and outs of Google Drive. Again, it's one of my most favorite platforms, and it's really fun for me to be able to share it with all of you in hopes that maybe I can help make your life a tiny bit easier. So don't hesitate to contact me if there is anything that I can do to help you. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching, and good luck with Google Drive.